Hello, how are you? I hope you're doing great. Tonight's topic is from the Shrink Nextdoor, something that I realized from a TV show that I was watching this week and how it relates to real life. I'm Tiffany Yelverton, the orgasm guru and your chief sexinista from Entice Me. So let me know where you're from. And if you have somebody who should be listening in, make sure you tag them, share this, invite them to join us so that they can learn about this topic, which is going to be about when we turn our partners down for sex and what happens cumulatively after that. Again, I'm Tiffany Yelverton. I'm the best in the world at disarming conversations around sexual shame, normalizing conversations around sex and pleasure, and I inspire women to love their bodies unapologetically and experience the orgasms of their dreams. We all want great sex, and I truly believe that closing the pleasure gap will restore the power balance to the planet. So let's jump on in. Before I do that, I want to invite you to book a call with me if you're struggling in your relationship and you would like more pleasure. I've opened up a few slots this week for my Power of Pleasure conversation calls, and I'll put that in the link and the comments below so that you can book that call. Again, we're here talking about a topic that came up in the Shrink Nextdoor the other night when I was watching that new show on Apple TV. And it was when one partner initiated sex and intimacy and the other person turned them down. And so we're going to get into that in just a minute. I want to tell you about a story that one of my clients experienced. And when we get, so what happened in the show? Sorry, somebody just dinged in. I kind of lost my train of thought. Let me mute that. Not perfect here. Sorry about that. So on the show, the woman was initiating, in bed, snuggling, wanting to get a little frisky. And she snuggled up to the Shrink Nextdoor, Paul Rudd, and he's like, oh, I have kimchi breath. And she was just totally shut down. And when one partner initiates a lot, or more than the other, then and the other partner turns them down on a regular basis, it creates a kind of a PTSD reaction, like, oh, if I ask, then I'm going to get turned down, and that's a negative emotion. And so a lot of times people will stop asking because they don't want to get turned down. And then the other partner's like, well, he or she never initiates. And it just builds up into that cycle, and there can be a lot of resentment that builds up. This is very common in relationships. Usually one person is more of the initiator and one is more of the receiver, or likes to be a little bit more passive in the relationship. And so really be conscious of how you react when your partner initiates, especially if you're wanting them to initiate more. And if they are initiating, make sure that you may not be in the mood, but don't just automatically shut them down. Say, how can I fulfill your needs this evening or today or whatever time of day it is? What can I do for you? I may have kimchi breath, but when we first met our partners, most of us didn't care if we had garlic breath or kimchi breath or hadn't brushed our teeth. You just wanted to be hot and heavy all the time. And that's where I want to get couples back to, is like when you were first dating, that Hollywood sex, like that passionate, on fire, can't keep your hands off each other. So if you want that kind of passion in your life, make sure you book one of those calls, the Power of Pleasure calls with me. I'll put the link below so that you can check that out. And I'm taking 5 calls this week. So on my schedule, it's pretty booked up, but let's get you on one of those if this is something that you want to explore in your life. So it can be very frustrating, like I said, and I have a strategy that I'm going to share with you about this. So if you're just tuning in, please let us know where you're from. Let me know where you're from. And we're talking about when one person initiates a lot and the other person turns them down. And on the Shrink Nextdoor, the woman was initiating, wanting to get frisky, wanting to get a little action, and her husband was like, no, I have kimchi breath. So I worked with a couple that was going through some hard times. They had some resentments towards each other, and they had gotten into this rut of turning sex down. The woman was turning sex down, and she wanted to make sure that, it was safe, that she could be in the mood, or, she's in menopause. So let me tell you a little backstory. She was in menopause, having vaginal dryness, sex hurt. She'd had some cancer issues come up and some scares. She didn't have cancer, but she did have some scares that were really triggering. She was really worried about it. And so her partner, she didn't feel sexy. That happens a lot of times with our hormones as we're going through perimenopause and menopause, and we definitely have solutions for that as well. They came up with this idea, and I think it's so brilliant that I want to share it with you. So the husband was really tired of getting turned down all the time. And so we came up with a way that she could signal that she's in the mood and that it's safe to ask for sex or safe to initiate intimacy. And it doesn't always have to be sex, but that's what the husband in this situation was looking for. And that's what the woman was looking for in the Shrink Nextdoor. So what they did is they took their favorite couple's toy, and she would just leave the remote in the key basket for when he got home, and then he would know that game on, it was safe to initiate. And then they didn't go through that negative cycle of her turning him down and him feeling dejected and not like a man, and all the things that we were working with as a couple in coaching. Another thing that you could use is a little token, like a rock or a stone that you could put by the bedside table or somewhere, like you could put it by his fork at dinner, so that you can signify that it is a safe time to ask for what you want, an initiation. Another one is I have the vibrating necklace from Crave. A lot of times I'll have my clients wear that when signal that they're in the mood and that it's safe to initiate. And little things like that really do help to just give the other partner space to initiate, to not be turned down, because nobody likes to be rejected. And when it happens over and over and over again in a relationship, it gets very triggering. And a lot of times then the partner just will stop asking, maybe go outside of the marriage first to get their needs met, or watch porn, or just hang out with their girlfriends all the time. I'm saying that because it's both men and women. Women a lot of times want that romance and intimacy, and men want the sex. But those are both needs that need to be fulfilled. And so it's really important to honor each other, learn to communicate. We teach a lot about communication, connection, and bringing that passion back into your relationship. Again, I'm Tiffany Yelverton, and if this is something that you're looking to explore, that you want to get more passion in your life, or maybe your partner's been turning you down, or you get turned down all the time, you're not quite sure how to deal with it. Hope this helped, but also make sure you book one of those calls, the links below, and The Power of Pleasure, and let's connect and see how we can get you on the right path. Have a great one. Bye-bye.